When I was 36 years old, I had a near-death experience. This experience changed my life. Before experiencing this event, I had a very strange dream. I dreamed that I was on another planet. The sky of that planet was purple. Jesus appeared on that planet. There was a dazzling light shining around his body. I was about to run toward him when he pointed his finger to my right. I saw two little boys, standing side by side. One of the boys was a little older than the other. I knew that was my future child. I thought to myself, no, I don't want any more children. I was in a very bad situation and I already had 3 children. When I had my first child, I had heart problems. 2 subsequent pregnancies caused damage to my spine. When I woke up, I reassured myself that it was just a dream. 6 months later, I was unexpectedly pregnant. This made me very depressed because my husband and I usually use birth control. My husband, on the contrary, was very excited because he always wanted a daughter. I reminded my husband, don't get your hopes up. I had a strong premonition. The birth would be a boy. In my 7th month of pregnancy, I was having trouble walking because of the pressure on my spine. One day when I woke up, I had chest tightness. I heard a voice telling me, you have to go to the hospital. Where did this voice come from? I wasn't sure where it was coming from. The baby was due soon, and I didn't want anything to happen. After some thought, I decided to go to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, the doctor asked me what my symptoms were. I replied that I was feeling a little dizzy and my chest was tight. The doctor told me to stay in the hospital for the time being. I was in the hospital for about 20 minutes when I fainted on the floor. My consciousness became increasingly blurred. The nurse immediately put me in a hospital room. The nurse checked me thoroughly and found that my pulse was almost over 200. She said, "Wait here, I'll go call the doctor." Then she ran out of the ward. I felt like I was about to die. And she asked me to keep waiting. I was so angry. I was like a beached whale, breathing was very difficult for me. I felt myself wanting to sleep more and more. Slowly, I closed my eyes. After a while, I found myself floating in a long tunnel. I saw a soft bright light at the end. I tried to get closer to it, but found myself moving with great difficulty. Just then, I heard voices speaking from behind me. Her heart was about to stop and we were about to lose her. I was completely uninterested in the voice. I had no idea who they were talking about. Now I just wanted to be near that wonderful light. The light seemed to have a very great magic and I was fascinated by it. It contained great warmth and endless love. I felt very excited. I knew there must be something wonderful waiting for me at the end of the tunnel. As I got closer to the bright light, my connection to my body became fainter and fainter. I got closer and closer to that light. I saw the outline of a man in that light. I couldn't see his face, but I could tell from his silhouette that it was a man. The man began to wave to me. I wondered if the person was an angel or a deceased relative. I struggled to move toward the bright light. Then, a voice interrupted my journey. I heard voices from the hospital. The doctor kept saying to me, "You must hold on, for the sake of the child in your belly." I thought about the baby in my belly, and I knew I had to make a decision. It was a hard decision. I had to go back for the sake of the baby in my belly. So I reluctantly turned around and got ready to go back. It was obvious that going back was much faster. Slowly, I connected with my body again. My whole body was in pain. The cardiologist told me, "We can't do a C-section on you yet, we will operate when your heart is stable." I didn't argue, I understood what the doctor meant. I look back on the whole experience and I feel how lucky I was. From the time I was reminded to go to the hospital for checkups, to my return to Earth, I realized that I had been protected during this crisis. I am also very grateful to the nurse who shouted in my ear. It was because I heard her voice that I chose to come back. On the morning of the third day, cardiologists and surgeons gathered to prepare for the delivery of the baby. I was fitted with a heart monitor. The doctors were not sure if there would be any accidents during the delivery. The doctor asked me if there was anything I wanted to say to my family. I replied, "No." Because my husband and children know that I love them, and I tell them that every day. I know that the baby in my belly will survive. Because I had seen him in my dreams 6 months before. When the anesthetic worked, I felt very calm. I had no fear of death now. There were some minor problems during the delivery, but the whole process went well. Just as I had hoped, another boy was born. Although my husband was a little disappointed, we were very happy with the arrival of the baby. I knew that this was a gift from God. Over the next few days, the pain slowly disappeared. I thanked God for giving me my life back and giving me the opportunity to be there for my 3 boys. I also shudder to think of their lives without their mother. I am grateful to have made this choice. God is real and He loves each and every one of us and cares about the tiniest things on earth. After hearing the first story, do you think she really met Jesus? Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments section. The next story is from an internet celebrity. She was admitted to the hospital with appendicitis. On the operating table, her soul left her body. Come hear her story. I am a food blogger in my life. I especially love to try different places of food and I love to document it with my camera. I have the habit of overeating. I will eat a lot of food that I particularly like. I also really love spicy food. Especially Thai food. I know a lot of people think it's too spicy, but I really like it. I know this kind of diet is very unhealthy, but I am completely defenseless against food. One day, I felt a lot of pain in my abdomen and I went to the hospital. The doctor was unable to diagnose my problem and said that I might have eaten some kind of unclean food to cause it. I have had this symptom before and it gets better when I take painkillers. But this time it didn't seem to help. My father realized the seriousness of the situation and he took me to another hospital. We were lucky that the doctor on duty that night was an experienced one and he told me it was my appendix that was the problem. My appendix had started to ulcerate and I needed to schedule surgery as soon as possible. I lost so much blood during the surgery that my heart stopped beating. I remember the last thing I did before going under general anesthesia. The nurse kept reassuring me that it was only a minor surgery. So don't be too nervous. I slowly closed my eyes. When I regained consciousness again, I was out of my body. All my pain was gone and I was floating on the ceiling of the operating room. I looked down and saw my body surrounded by people. I had no attachment to my body and no regrets about leaving it. I didn't know what they were doing around me, and I felt it was no longer my business. I felt very relaxed and free, without the pain of the past few weeks and without the pain in my life. I looked at myself lying in bed and I felt ready to leave. I began to float upward and then came over the hospital. I saw people in the hospital going about their business. The hospital was filled with sadness and joy. There were people who were sad because their loved ones were leaving. Some were happy because their illnesses were cured. The higher I flew, the people and buildings became smaller and smaller until I could see the outline of the Earth. Earth is such a beautiful planet. I could see every creature, every plant, every rock, everything was interconnected. I could see how we are all connected. Everyone is one and at the same time exists independently. Everything is a part of God. I felt so much love and I had an indescribable joy. I cannot express in words how I feel. Before I died, I was full of doubts about many things in the world. Here, I know everything and all my doubts are answered. The earth is getting farther and farther away from me. I step into the light, and I become part of the light. Here time no longer exists, everything here is eternal. Then I saw two people. To be precise, they were not really human. They only had human silhouettes, and I could not see their faces. They shone with a golden light. We were one, but somehow separate. Although I had not seen them before, I felt I knew them. They called me their beloved daughter. Finally, I have a choice to make. I can go with them and stay in the light forever. Or I could go on back to Earth. I don't understand why they think I will go back. Being with them is such a blessing. I asked them, what would happen if I went back? They told me, I could experience more interesting life, I could learn more. You can also go back and help more people. Make others understand death properly. You can also help those who are lost. They tell me, if you choose to go back, they will always be with me, and I am not alone. Even though we are experiencing pain right now, life is always good. My choice boils down to love and responsibility for each other. So I chose to come back very reluctantly. Coming back into my body wasn't as easy as leaving it. I woke up in the recovery room vomiting and feeling incredible pain. I felt like the room was spinning. I realized that whatever I had been through was over. There was so much my brain needed to understand. I knew I would be back there someday. For now I have a lot to do. I sometimes wonder if I made the right choice.